Oil well investments have never been attacked more than they have today. There's an fossil fuel apocalypse right now. If you type in fossil fuels in Google News, you'll see a tremendous amount of colleges and many rallies going against fossil fuels. For instance, Penn State says it won't invest directly in some fossil fuels for students. That's not enough. The students are setting up campaigns for anti-fossil fuel rallies, and colleges are listening to the voices of these kids in divesting in oil. Georgetown University, same thing. Georgetown University divests from fossil fuels. Letter vote to keep fossil fuels in the ground. Wholesale, Australia, a burning message for fossil fuel producers. Another anti-fossil fuel agenda. Extinction Rebellion activists demand New York divest from fossil fuels. Fossil fuels aren't even a very good investment. Some of the richest people are in oil and gas, but whatever. Campaigners urge African Union to stop fossil fuel proliferation on continent. Georgetown divests from fossil fuels. Guys, there are hundreds and hundreds of news articles that are anti-fossil fuel agenda. Why? The Democrats are anti-fossil fuels. Jim Cramer got on one of the biggest stock TV shows that everybody watches. If you're an investor, you've seen Jim Cramer. He has a TV show called Mad Money, and he got on there in front of billions of people, and he said, I'm done with fossil fuels. And his reasoning behind that was because of the new money managers for these large funds are listening to the voice of these young investors. They don't want to invest in fossil fuels anymore. They want renewables. And so there's an anti-fossil fuel agenda, and it's being spurned on by the Democrats. And you see the divide when during the United Nations address, Donald Trump said, I've rebuilt the oil and gas fossil fuel industry bigger than it's ever been. Only the Republicans clapped, and every Democrat sat there like crickets with nothing to say. And so there's a great divide right now. Now, Sean, what does all this mean? Are you telling me that oil and gas is going to fall apart and we don't need to invest in oil and gas? No, I'm here to tell you that there's never been a better opportunity to invest in oil and gas. Sean, how do I invest in oil and gas? The Chevron is the stocks are tanking. You can't invest in conventional oil, which is the only thing that's profitable right now on the stock market. Why? Because companies like Chevron are investing in shale. Shale is not economically feasible. Shale has flooded the market. Why would they develop in an area that it's not economical at these prices? Because they have no other place to go. Where else are you going to find oil reserves at these capacities? It isn't out there. And so the shale, so everybody's divesting from oil right now. But oil is needed. Renewable energies cannot replace oil today. We do not have the technology. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the ability to replace the 100 million barrels a day demand need that comes only from fossil fuels. Germany has already tried to replace oil with renewables, and they failed. If everybody drove a Tesla today, the grid could not charge all the Teslas. Our grid needs to be upgraded. That's going to be cost trillions. Even if everybody had a Tesla, even if we had a billion windmills, it would not work. Germany's already tried it. The technology is not there, guys. But let's say we did have the tech today to replace all fossil fuels. Well, how many years do you think it would take to build enough manufacturing plants to replace gas-powered cars with Teslas? How many years do you think it would take to manufacture enough windmills, enough solar power panels, enough things for renewable energy to replace what fossil fuels is doing today? How many years would it take to replace the infrastructure of sending more electricity from the power plants to your home? It would take years, it would take trillions, and it is impossible. It's an impossible task, and it's going to take 10 to 20 years. And we don't even have it today. And so with that said, we have 100 million barrels a day demand for fossil fuels, and there's a massive divestment in oil. So what is going to happen? The oil glut from shale is falling apart because all the shale oil companies that are filing bankruptcy, that was before the major oil apocalypse of everyone divesting from oil. That was before any of this started. It's going to get even worse. And so the demand for oil is continuing to grow, and the output for oil is dropping every day. So what's going to happen? You're going to see massive oil prices. You're going to see oil prices like we saw them like never before. And so now is the time to get involved in oil and gas, period. If you follow the news, you're going to believe what the Democrats are saying, what these younger kids are saying. Fossil fuels are evil. Fossil fuels can't do what renewables can do. Renewables is going to fix everything. Look, even if the Republicans got on the side of the Democrats and say, hey, yeah, fossil fuels are evil, that 100 million barrels a day demand is still there. What do we do with that? What do you think is going to happen if we all go anti-oil and go pro-green? Like all the Democrats are doing right now. Our cars are just going to sit in the garage? That demand is still here. And so you can't maintain the world without investing in fossil fuels. It can't happen. It's impossible. This is like there's never been a better time to get involved in oil and gas. Oil, everyone's divesting from oil. You can't invest in oil in the stock market because those guys are heavily, deeply invested in shale. The only way to invest in oil right now is what they did back in the 20s, 30s, 40s until the 70s. Because 70% of the output of oil today comes from wells drilled on and before the 70s. That technology back in the 70s is what's providing 70% of the world's energy today. And so what worked then works today. What was profitable then is profitable today. In 2005, oil prices hit today's prices for the very first time, and we thought we hit the lottery. Now, why is it profitable in 2005 and not profitable today? It's because of shale. Shale cost 15 to 20 million to drill a well, as where a conventional well back in 2005 cost about 700 grand. Well, those same wells in the same conventional oil zones still cost the same to extract. Problem is that big companies like Chevron didn't have any other place to develop. There's not enough conventional place for them to spend $10 billion for each major oil company out there to spend $10 billion a piece. The only place that could handle that kind of investment was shale, because it spreads hundreds of miles. It was a resource play, and everyone invested big and lost big. Everyone lost in shale. Nobody makes money in shale. And so these conventional wells work today. They are still profitable under $50 oil. They're still profitable under $30 oil, but you can't find it on the stock market. You can't find it in Chevron. You can't find it with the big companies. It's the smaller oil companies. And so here's what's going to happen. Everyone's going to continue to divest from oil. They're going to follow the path of the Democrats. The stockbrokers can't get anyone to invest in Chevron. Chevron's going to continue to tank. The divestment in oil is going to continue. They're going to expect renewable energy to fix everything. They're not going to be able to save us. And what's going to happen? The demand is still there for oil, and then the oil glut is going to be gone. And then oil prices are going to skyrocket. And then we're giving all that power. Trump worked so hard to build the oil and gas industry to bring security. Because when you put the power in the hands of OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, it gives them more money to wreak havoc on other countries, because all of that terror is funded by oil. And so now you're giving the power back into the hands of OPEC. That's why oil prices went up to $150 a barrel under the Bush administration. All they had to do is cut back production. Right now, today, when they cut back production, all they do is stabilize oil prices from dropping into the low 40s. Back in 2008, they cut back on production. They go up to the high hundreds, 130, 140. Under Obama, they reach as high as 140. Trump has prevented that from happening, and he built this industry. But the Democrats hate Trump, and they hate his plans. They hate, and therefore they hate the fossil fuel industry. And so bottom line, there's an agenda against fossil fuels right now. There's a divestment in fossil fuels right now. And they're winning the campaign against fossil fuels because of global warming and all the kids, the colleges, the younger generation is taking this message and they're spreading it like wildfire. And so when you stop putting money in fossil fuels, and the demand is still there, you're setting yourself up for a major escalation in oil prices, and you're setting yourself up for a major escalation in the Middle East, because 90% of their GDP is oil. And so they only know how to manipulate oil prices. They've been doing it for the last 30 years. If oil prices are low, they cut back on production. And then other radical countries in the Middle East, they drop bombs on key oil fields, because that increases oil prices. War increases oil prices. So you're going to see an escalation of war because oil prices have dropped, and you're going to see the oil glut go away, because shale oil has a fast decline curve. We had an output of 10 million barrels a day just from shale alone, but the shale is very tight, low porosity. You're going to see oil prices skyrocket tremendously, because we're not investing in oil right now. Across a global scale, nobody's investing in new oil, and there's no new discoveries either. We need this is all been proven by intelligent people studying all of the oil fields, the output of the algorithms, the financial structures, the demand. It's been studied, and this is proven. I'm not just making this stuff up. These are I read articles every single day, and some very smart people from Harvard, from different top elite colleges, are saying, look, if we don't find new discoveries, we're not going to have enough oil. And 70% of the world's oil supply comes from wells that were drilled in 70s and before, and those are depleting. Shale was just that's all they had. And shale came and it went. It was the fastest growing industry, and it was the fastest falling industry. We need more oil. And now, on top of the fact of the shale apocalypse, because everyone realized, hey, it's not economically feasible and nobody's making money, now there's the agenda against oil, because you could thank the Democrats brainwashing the children. And now everybody, it's like domino effect. Everybody's divesting from oil. And we still have an oil demand. We still need energy. What's going to happen, guys? All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in getting involved in investing on the ground floor, you can't make money in the stock market in oil. You could only get involved in conventional wells on the ground floor. Give me a call, 307-622-1645. Once again, that's 307-622-1OIL. Go in my description. I've got information there if you would like to request some information. I got a link in my description. Like I said, please subscribe. I'll have many more videos just like this. Thanks.